Yeah, so I guess we can get started. Want to welcome anybody who's watching. I don't think there's anybody here. Can't see it. I don't know if anybody's on Facebook watching. Nope. But yeah, want to welcome anybody that's watching the replay. Gen X Book Club. We're going over Waxing On, Ralph Macchio. So, and then of course along with me is Del Roehling and Suzanne Mattaboni. So
Hey there.
thanks for doing this again. All right,
Sure.
let's. I guess we can get into this. Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I really loved this book. I thought he did a really great job. I like how I like how the focus was like on the Karate Kid, and I like how like the narrow focus of it, but he still branched out in some parts too. So yeah, as far as memoir goes, I thought this was really well done.
Yeah, it was excellent. No question about it. I know you were texting me as you were reading certain chapters too, which I thought was kind of cool because you were ahead of me, and so it gave me something to look forward to here. But yeah, it was the focus of basically how this impacted his life. It really has been his life from beginning to now, um, and continues. Because I was just thinking today, this is 40 years of the
Mm,
Karate Kid, which is amazing. I mean, there's not a lot of franchises that can say that other than like science fiction or fantasy. I was trying to think of
right,
something else that had been around that long.
that's
I don't have
true.
anything unless you can think of something. I can't think of any other movie franchise.
Hmm. Well, the way that it's been kind of, reborn as a Netflix series, I think is pretty unique. So
Yeah.
it's a nice thing to
Yeah,
see happen. And yeah, I really enjoyed it also. I got through it very, very quickly. The first thing I thought was, oh, it's 200 something pages. It's going to take a while, but no, it goes quick and it keeps your interest. And uh I'm the type of person like I will read biographies and I'll enjoy the biography even if it's somebody who I don't even like, So I still want to hear how people get, where they start out and how they get where they got and what they had to do to, and what they sacrificed and that kind of thing. And then of course the book is really full of a lot of like memories and nostalgia from the 80s, and he goes on about that a lot, about how iconic it was for that particular uh decade and the types of movies that were out in that decade, which were uh
exactly.
very, yeah, they're kind of like a little world to themselves, 80s movies. So, and that
Yeah,
part I just loved.
yeah.
Did anybody listen to the audiobook or not? Because he read the book. So that was even a bonus, I thought. But I enjoyed
Mhm.
that. It's just sort of a storyteller of his own life. That was neat.
No,
Yeah, no, I did.
I actually read it on Kindle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just read the hard copy and then I was like highlighting stuff. But yeah, some I do like it when they read their books too. So yeah, I just happen to not do it with this one, but yeah, I like it when they do that. Um, yeah, more personal touch. Yeah, and as far as the 80s thing goes, I think it was even a chapter just dedicated just to that, talking about the 80s and stuff.
Yeah, the 80s-ness of the of the series.
And for the
It's true, it
record,
was
I
defining.
did try getting him on. I messaged him
Oh, did you?
and yeah, and I even
See,
tried
that
to
would have been
throw
fun.
I even threw in a personal touch too because he's also a New York Mets fan like I am, and he talked about being at Game Six of the '86 World Series. It's like, oh, I probably would be more interested in hearing about that than the Karate Kid, because
Did
I'm in Red Sox territory, and being a Mets fan and that era was kind of lonely over here. So.
Yeah, a little isolating, I guess.
did you get a response?
No,
Oh,
no.
that's all right.
Yeah, I didn't get anything, but yeah, we'll see. I will open it. I told him that if he couldn't come on, this time, sometime in the future. So yeah, he'd be great anytime to have on. So never know. So
Certainly. Well, now that we
yeah,
know everything about him.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, we got our research done now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
But yeah, I'm from Long Island too, so I, you
oh,
know,
there you go. Hmm.
could relate. I remember all the old Long Island. Like he mentions places that I knew of. So,
Hmm. Yeah. You Mets or Yankees? Or do you?
uh, I'm not a huge sports fan, but I was
Okay.
at one of those Met games in 1986.
Oh.
I lived in Queens. I
Hmm.
remember, I was at a sports bar the night that they won, and everybody went crazy, and people were honking in the streets. It was a cool year to be a fan. So,
Yep. Yep. Um, yeah, so he opened up with the yeah, even though it was just like so well written. I like how he opened up with the theater and like he like seeing the screening of it and talked about the people involved, like John Avildsen, the director, who also directed Rocky. So yeah, pretty legendary. And then Robert Mark Carmen was the screenwriter for it. So yeah, and then his wife, and then he was 22 years old, I think he said. Was he 22 when
mhm.
when he filmed it, or I don't know if it was out there, but yeah. Just before we came on, he had mentioned doing the David Letterman interview, like when they were promoting my cousin Vinny. I guess he got pulled on at the last second because somebody canceled, and he talks about how Letterman was making fun of his age and everything. Yeah, that was pretty good. Because like David Letterman, he like when he gets like a topic, he just keeps going and going and going with it. So he started right off about his age, and
Yeah, I had to like give him a zinger to kind of shut him up, I think.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I don't remember seeing that at the time, but it's kind
no,
of funny to hear him
Did you find
yeah,
the
talk about it.
you found the clip, Paul?
yeah, yeah. Just
Okay.
before we came on, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I should I'll put that out there too. But yeah, that was great. He's like, what do you keep talking about this for? I gotta go to the back to the museum soon or something like that.
Right.
But because he was actually 30 years old then. He always looks like 20 years younger than he really is. He's like in his 60s now. He looks like he's in
And
his
even
40s.
now.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad trait.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like to rely on that when I can too.
Yeah. And even in his book, he said that like his parents are like that too. So yeah. And I was happy he mentioned The Outsiders too. So that's because that was like a
Mhm.
huge book for me. And then, yeah, I loved that character. So and he was like perfect in that. I loved him in that too.
Yeah, that was pretty iconic itself.
Hmm.
He had a death scene in that, and
Yeah.
he's the one who got to say "Stay Gold, Pony Boy." I mean, that's pretty
Right.
good stuff. So that's how,
Yeah.
and as a writer, it's kind of like that was a very literary moment,
Yeah.
that that tagline. So I think I've seen people like put that under their pictures in their senior yearbook,
Right.
or at least at the time. I don't know what people are putting on their yearbook pictures now, but at the time, I remember seeing that.
Well, oh, I'm curious. Do they do yearbooks anymore? Everything's digital these days.
Ah,
They
I
still
don't
my
know. I keep
my
seeing
daughter
memes of.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
my daughter's in high school. They still sell them. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's the whole deal where like we get autographs at the end of the school year and people write things in it or whatever. I don't know if they do that. I don't get the impression they do, but yeah, they still sell them. And maybe I'm the only one buying
Hmm,
them. I don't know, but I buy one
maybe.
for her every year. So
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that they don't have digital copies of those yet.
yeah,
It's kind of strange. Like I will see memes online of people's yearbooks and their pages and stuff.
yeah.
And they're all nice and shiny and in color now. When we always have black and white ones. It's kind of a
Yeah.
shame.
We can access our. I'm assuming you could too access your books digitally now. Like the people, somebody has started a service where you can go through and all the yearbooks or yearbooks that
I
they've been
think I've
able to
seen
find.
that.
Yeah, they've scanned them in or whatever they do. So yeah,
Yeah, I actually got one of those. Yeah. Yeah. it's not like exactly the same, but it's like some of it's like a little bit. The quality isn't as good as like the original, but it's still really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
well, for
yeah.
people who didn't get theirs, so.
But yeah, it was set up so like all the just the seniors' pictures were in color, but then all the underclassmen's was in black and white. So yeah,
Hmm.
but anyway, yeah, and then yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know he was married too young, but he was he got married. I think he was 25 when he got married to Phyllis. So and
Yeah, and he's still married.
yeah, that's another
Amazing.
impressive thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kudos. Yeah.
yeah. Well, he's away from like all that Hollywood stuff, really. Like he didn't really stay out there, right? He was kind of going back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, I think he ended up back on Long Island most of the time.
Mhm.
And yeah, isn't that kind of what that short that he did was about? Which
Oh
I
yeah,
watched. I watched. At least I think that's what I watched. I watched it. Is the whole thing just kind of a fake preview, or is there
yeah.
actually a longer version of that?
Oh no, no, I think that was it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
that
funny
was
thing when
pretty
he was going
funny.
bad, when he's trying to be bad.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, what's you have no drug addictions? You don't hang out with prostitutes. What? How do you expect to be famous? And he's how can you have a long-term career like that? And it's kind of sad.
And the more he tried, the more
He's like, wait,
stupid
I
he
can do
looks.
it. I can
Yeah.
do it. Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's a 12-year-old in the bar over here. Get him out.
Yeah.
But just the fact
That
that
was
he bought
great.
into that and ran with that concept, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because he did want he did have like a little bit of an attitude afterwards, like he didn't want to be like typecast as that and that. And so
Mm.
he was kind of fighting that, but then yeah, it didn't take him, I don't think it took him too long to really accept it and really go with it.
Yeah, and
So
embrace the legacy, as he
exactly.
said.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I really loved like the chapter with about Pat Morita because it really sounds like he was just like the character the way I took it. He's
Mm.
as Mr. Miyagi. And
Hmm. Yeah, or the relationship between the two of them at least.
mhm,
And it sounded like, I mean, a lot of time went by between those movies and them I guess getting closer to him doing that award ceremony with him at toward the end of his life.
yeah,
So it's a long time to try and maintain a relationship, but it really sounded like it was something, one of those enduring things where even you pick back up after not seeing the person for forever, you still feel like you just spoke to them yesterday. And,
exactly.
it's a nice thing.
Yeah,
Um,
When I thought with Cobra, when he was trying to or talking about launching Cobra Kai and the idea behind it, that he wanted Pat Morita's character, Mr. Miyagi, to be like the focal point of the series. And I thought that was neat that he wasn't going to do it if that wasn't the focus. So
mhm.
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I love how he coined it Miyagi verse too. So I thought
yeah,
that was great.
It's true.
Yeah, because like I think we had mentioned on the last episode, Del, I think you mentioned that they're talking about doing spin-offs and stuff.
yeah. And there's some movie that's been announced also, which I don't know the details of, but it's supposed to Jackie Chan's supposed to be. They're supposed to bring in the whatever 2010 movie. I think it was out in 2010.
Mhm.
Somehow that's going to be tied in also. So some kind of multiverse deal.
Oh yeah, because Will Smith is still involved. He's involved in Cobra Kai somehow. I keep seeing his name flash on the screen anyway, so I don't know. He's a producer or something to that effect.
Hmm.
So even though, I mean, I saw that movie. I saw his version of the movie, which was not nearly as charming, like doesn't have the same kind of magic, but it was cute. It was a nice tribute. So it's kind of nice that he wants to stay involved in the development, the future development of that whole concept. He has some kind of ownership over it. So it's that's nice too. But I'll tell you, I am hooked on Cobra Kai. It's not really the
Oh,
kind of thing. I don't think I ever would have watched it had I not sat and read this book for this particular purpose.
mhm.
But I am loving it. It's great.
You
It's
just
so much
are you
fun.
are you starting the series? You just started it?
I am at the beginning of season 5 now.
Oh wow,
Wow.
that's
Yeah, I'm
fast.
telling
Okay,
you. I
wow.
watch like
Well,
two,
yeah,
three episodes a night at least, and then I stop and look around. I say for tomorrow.
yeah. Well, I think season three that when they season I don't remember which season it was, but they launched it maybe a couple of seasons at midnight, and I remember my daughter staying up and staying up until like 5 or 6 in the morning, watching that whole series or that whole
Really?
season.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't do it. Like I did a couple episodes. It was like 2 a.m. I'm like, I can't. I'm not going to make it much longer. But she stayed up and watched the whole thing, and then she wanted to watch it again. So I think the thing that's neat for me with this whole Cobra or Karate Kid franchise is that it's this next generation is now enjoying the same things that we enjoyed when we were that age, and they've done it's been a genius that they've brought these teenagers and these high school kids in the series and looped in this next generation while we're still involved with it at in our 40s and 50s that we're still enjoying
Hmm.
the franchise like we are. So the series is phenomenal. I'm glad you like it.
It is.
But
It's excellent. It's
but
really
yeah,
well done.
yes,
It
and
is.
It's really well done.
so many tributes to the original movie and so many flashbacks and even and he talks about this in the book a lot. The third movie, which was not well received, I've even gone back and watched it now, which I swore I would never watch Karate Kid 3 again, but I went back and watched it, and it's amazing how they've tied it all together. So I don't know if they're going to do anything with the next Karate Kid, that fourth movie that came out, even though Ralph Macchio wasn't in that. If somehow they're going to tie that into the series, of course you read rumors and you hear things, but we'll see. But yeah, the series is phenomenal. One of the best that I can. I'm looking forward to the next season, although it's the last season, sadly.
They're really good at making every episode very tense.
Hmm.
And that's,
Yes.
I mean, just watching the way all everybody's loyalties are always flipping, and they're all this kind of getting in league and out of league, and now they're butting heads again, and that just it happens constantly, but yet you buy it. You don't feel like it's a
Right.
soap opera. You're
Forced,
really
right.
invested in it. It's
Yeah.
just really well done. I don't think that's the easiest thing to do, especially over all those seasons. Like
Oh
it
yeah.
would feel like over dramatic, but it's doesn't. It's well enough done, and everybody's performance is believable enough that you buy it all. I'm just hook, line, and sinker. I'm like,
Well, the other
how
the
that
other thing the other thing is when the series starts, you still look at Johnny as the bad guy, and then as it
Mhm.
progresses, you're like, wait a minute, I kind of feel bad for him now, and then Daniel starts treating him like Daniel. Now you're the bully. Like there, so it goes
Exactly.
back and forth on the characters where I don't know. It's this like roller coaster of you like him and then you don't like him, you like him and you don't like him, and so I think that's very well done as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was curious because, like, since I had watched Cobra Kai, I hadn't seen the original Karate Kid, so then I didn't know if I would be watching it like with a different lens now, seeing because with all the talk about Johnny being like the good guy and everything, and how everything got all twisted. I never watched how I Met Your Mother or anything, but I guess that's how that all started with the Barney character there saying that Johnny was really the good guy. But then when went back and watched the original, it's like, no, there's no question. He's an
He's a bad
asshole.
guy.
Yeah, yeah, he's a
Yeah.
big time
Well,
bully
he was, but only
Yeah.
because he
until the
was kind
very
of
end.
taught to be one. So
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
tried to even set that up,
Mhm.
in the film. Uh, and he talks about the fact that over the years and on the internet, this, mythology of the film had kind of developed where they were questioning, well, is Daniel real? Was he in some way he was the bully and he was, the whole thing was flipped. He said, well, they came to him with the idea of Cobra Kai saying, we're going to build on that and we're going to see where that goes. So it makes sense that they're playing on that and even playing into this next generation of viewers questions about how this rivalry, what light it really should be seen in, and it can
Mhm.
be interpreted both ways, which, like I said, they do even with the young kids. They're all questioning their loyalty and which style of karate they're going to, they're going to use, and who they should be, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's brainwashing them, etc. It's exciting to see that play out.
And yeah, you could actually see seeds of it towards the end there when Kreese had the kid like hit Daniels, messed up his knee there, and then when they said that, oh, he might not make it back, and then you see Johnny shoot Kreese a look, and it's like the same look that you see him do in the show now. So you could tell that he didn't
Yeah.
want to win it that way, and, and then so
Yeah, and they
funny
kind
how
of had no choice.
yeah, and I kind of I totally forgot that the scene in the parking lot was at the beginning of two. I thought it was like at the beginning of one, so then one ended quick. It's like, oh, so I had to start two right away. So
Now, could you imagine if they included that at the end of one, how it would have changed? Because one ends on such a high note, and then you could get into two, and it's that parking lot scene at the beginning. But he said they were originally going to include that in the first movie, and I think that would have changed how you felt at the end. Um,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
yeah.
That's true. But it did pull the focus away from that big cheering, feel good moment that they
right,
were kind of trying to recreate from Rocky, from the
yeah,
start,
Oh
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
so, and they accomplished that. They accomplished that too. So, and I never thought to myself, of course, I saw Rocky back in like the mid 70s when it first came out. I did see the Karate Kid when it first came out. I didn't see the sequels. I tried to watch the sequels. I kind of screwed up my rental, but that's another story. So I watched like the first 20 minutes of each of the sequels before they timed out. But but in any case, I didn't put two and two together as a viewer that, oh, this is another Rocky, maybe a younger version of Rocky.
Yeah,
But to how it's kind of funny how calculated that was. That was the whole point of the movie. We want to do another Rocky.
right,
And
yeah,
I even sometimes like in reading what he talked about in the book, the whole Karate Kid story was about some kid in California who was like 8 years old and was getting beaten up, and he used martial arts to stave off his bullies. But nobody knows who that kid is. Who is that kid? Poor kid never got any credit. Where the heck is he?
right.
You know? Some poor
Good
kid in
point.
California, just got shafted when it was his story.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense too that because the same director, same Bill Conti
Yeah,
with the music and everything. So yeah,
but they're very effective because they pulled it off.
yep, yep, yeah, yeah. Both of them are legendary. So yeah, and then later on in the book, yeah, I mentioned how somebody tried pitching them like a crossover with Rocky and the Karate Kid, and have them in each other's
Imagine that.
movies.
Jeez, that would be weird. I don't
Yeah.
know. They'd really have to work hard on that one, I think.
Yeah, because that seems a little that would be like a little forced, I think. So, but
It makes me think of in the 70s when they took characters and then they made them like into a cartoon show, and then the cartoons, would visit each other, and then like they had the Beatles had a cartoon show, and then Michael Jackson and the Jackson Five, and I think the Osmonds, like they all had these little cartoon shows, and people, it's just like after a while you dilute things a little too much, and
yeah, yeah.
you lose that integrity, I think.
Oh, let's see what else. Oh, I didn't realize. I don't know if you guys do that, but I didn't know Pat Morita was in those internment camps too. I just knew about George Takei, but I didn't know Pat Morita was.
Was in which?
He was in the internment camps, the
Oh,
Japanese internment camps in
okay, yeah.
War II.
Yeah, there's some serious discussions there going on. Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
I didn't see it, but I think about a year, maybe 2 years ago, a documentary came out about him, and they talked about what they were going to discuss in the documentary, and that was talked about at the time, and I didn't know it either. But when I saw him talk about it or saw it in the book, it reminded me of that documentary, which I then said I need to go back and watch at some point. But I guess he had a I mean, a sad life in at times. I don't know much about him, but you wouldn't get that impression from just what we saw on screen, both on TV and in the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Arnold on Happy Days and everything.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
Right, but then he was fighting typecasting too. They didn't want to give him the role because they thought he was, kind of not a serious contender. He was, a comedian. They called him like a Catskills comedian. Like, that
Right.
doesn't really fit either. He's kind of outside that that stereotype.
Yeah.
But man, he auditioned and blew everybody away. So, you know, who's to say?
Yeah, like I couldn't even picture anybody else in that role. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and then there's Lisa Shu. Like
Lisa.
I
Yeah, isn't that cute? The way she was just Lisa? I don't know. I don't know. Did like her parents and her brother and sister call her Lisa? I don't know. Was it just was Elizabeth a stage name? I don't know. It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
To him, she was Lisa.
Yeah, like it wasn't just a one off. That's what he called her through the whole the whole little chapter and book and everything. I don't think I knew that Leah Thompson was up for that role either. It was
No,
Allie.
I never
I
knew
didn't.
that. But as I rewatched it, I could picture her. I could picture her screen test, Like
Mhm.
I could picture her
Yeah.
trying to do that role.
Yeah. Yeah, that one I could see going either way. But yeah, but it worked out. Um, and it was her first major movie role. And then, oh, I have another
Hmm.
note that at it was funny what he was talking about when the actors were auditioning for Johnny Lawrence. How they were like doing the testing on him. And he's kind of like traumatized a little bit, being bullied by all these different people.
Yeah, that's got to be a little tough. Just put up with being bullied by everybody, just for the sake of the process.
Yeah.
I loved all that behind the scenes stuff about the auditions and such,
Hmm,
and just what a life. I mean, that must have been nice.
yeah. Um, what else? Oh, yeah. Then I have about the chapter on the 80s too, the 80s movies. You know, oh, everything was like light and fun back then, unlike now, where I don't know, a lot of mean sarcasm and stuff. I don't know that. I think that's why like I don't know how well they work now, but the Marvel movies they were really successful. They had like a lot of humor and everything, a lot of light humor and everything, and that was successful. So I don't know. Definitely seems different these days. But then when you watch the show, look at the success of Cobra Kai now. So maybe they should start thinking about lightening things up. And then he also talked about the music videos, because that was like a huge part of the movies. Like for
Hmm.
when I rewatched Karate Kid 2, and it's like I remember like all the different scenes that were in the Gloria Love video. It's like you don't need to go to watch the movie, you can watch the music videos back
Yeah.
then.
Yes.
I remember that. I remember that every movie had to have like a pop song in it, like a new song, not an existing song.
Right.
And then they would make a video of it. It would be on MTV, and you would get concert footage mixed in with footage from the film, so that it was kind of just like a commercial for the film, really.
Right.
And they were
Exactly.
like playing on MTV to sell the movies to young people. Who knows? Maybe that had something to do with the fact that there was such a surge in teen movies, because they were selling these films through MTV, and that was, young people, college kids all watching the film. So then the film started to be created specifically for that market. So never thought of that before. But I definitely remember, like you're saying, you can remember all the scenes that you saw in those video clips with the
Yeah.
song playing underneath it.
Wow, that makes sense now because that's why you don't really get too many new popular pop songs with movies these days. They don't have like the the
Right,
avenue
they don't have that
to
channel to sell it. It's true.
yeah, yeah.
But that was, that was really effective. I guess a lot of companies made a lot of money that way. A lot of movie companies made a lot of money bringing in young people by doing MTV videos that had their clips in it. So,
Interesting. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, and then like after Karate Kid, he was on Broadway, Cuba and his teddy bear. He was in it with Robert De Niro. And then like I know he called Elizabeth Shue Lisa, but he's like the only one that worked with Robert De Niro that I know of that didn't call him Bobby. I think he ever said Bobby De Niro in
maybe.
this.
Yeah,
But
it sounded like his conversations wasn't with De Niro? I think it was during that play. Oh no, Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, he had that conversation with Warren Beatty, and he was saying that he felt like that was kind of a period in his life where he wasn't listening to anybody. And looking back on it, maybe he wasn't taking the advice that he should have been taking from some of these iconic people he was working with, which I guess is kind of, you have to be kind of gracious to look back on that, realize it, write about it for everybody in the world to, hear and see. That's kind of, you have to tip your hat to including that kind of thing and not just saying, yeah, how great the movies were and the legacy and etc. So I'm 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 glad I got to read a little bit of that, of the moments when maybe he wasn't so sure of his career or himself looking back,
Mhm.
I,
Yeah, that was go ahead, Sarah.
oh, I was going to say, I also found it interesting. He was talking about the scene, I think, when in the first movie that he's not really proud of. Do you guys remember that part in
Mhm.
the book? And it,
Which scene was
Yeah.
that?
yeah,
When he was on the table with Mr. Miyagi,
Oh
with everybody
yeah.
on that, yeah.
yeah. And I never thought, I mean, I never thought one thing good or bad about it. It was just part of the movie. I didn't really, but he said he's just not, that's one of the scenes that he wishes that he could redo, or that he just didn't have the feeling that he thought he should have had during that scene. So I appreciated that he could, he could critique his own work, and say that he wasn't happy with this and was willing to put it out there publicly. So, but it doesn't change anything for me. He was worried that somebody would, you go back and watch it and think less of that scene. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that he did that, that he was willing to to put that out there.
Yeah,
That's
like
true.
if he did like the scene that he really that even the director was like expecting him to do, geez, that could have been like an Oscar moment there with the
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe I thought it was kind of telling that he said he knew that kind of confirmed for him that he didn't do the job that he wanted to do, because during those some of those moments in the scene, they cut to behind him and you were watching Miyagi instead of him when he's delivering all
Mm.
these lines, where I think that was what he described as, that I know I wasn't coming across the way I wanted to, because if I did, the camera would have been on his face.
Yeah.
And who else, like you said, I mean, in watching it, I never would have thought for a moment that that was a symptom of him maybe not being able to handle that moment or whatever he said, however exactly he described that. But he knew, and they found a way to work through it and make it work for the audience. But I kind of get that, and you're right. That's brave of him to sit back and say and reveal that when nobody else would have known but him.
Yeah, that was like a tough chapter. It was like all about his regrets, and
Yeah.
but then afterwards I was like I hate to have him like have regrets and stuff like that, but then I'm thinking, well, something he learned from, and he's like one of the few celebrities without that's doing a memoir that doesn't involve all drinking and drugs and everything, and like this was like the most dramatic thing for him was looking down on his performance.
Well, the other thing that I thought was really cool too is that he talked about the roles that he missed out on, and that other people
Yeah.
went on to be praised for and win awards for. And he basically said the casting was done correctly. They picked the right person for that role, and that's hard to do when somebody else gets picked for something you're trying for. To say yes, it's okay that I was passed over for this. They picked the right person, And I thought he did that at least 2 times in the book that I can remember, and maybe more. But I just thought that was a really neat thing that he did.
Yeah, like 16 Candles. I didn't know that he was auditioning for that. But yeah, I guess he
Right.
didn't want to
And
come off as too nerdy or something. He thought he was too cool for that, maybe. I don't know.
I guess, but it seems to kind of one thing that stuck out with him. I mean, this is pretty huge. He was up for Marty McFly and didn't get it because he had too much of a New York accent. And Marty McFly was, Mr. All-American kind of
Right.
apple pie,
Oh, hi.
California.
Mhm.
And he called himself, he wasn't really apple pie, he was cannoli, which I think is funny,
Yeah,
being Italian.
yeah.
But just that small thing, and that's like, I mean, that movie I think is like the most perfect movie on the planet, Back to the
Yeah.
Future. But even so, I mean, he got 3 sequels out of it, a new Netflix series. So all's well that ends well. Like you said, the right person got the right job, but that has to be a big deal. That you know, dang,
Yeah.
just dang, this does the accent. Just can't get it out of the just can't scrape it away.
Yeah, well, it worked out for him in this. So
Yeah,
again, that then he also made that point, like, yeah, it's always the right casting, and that includes them with the Karate Kid cast.
yeah,
So
I guess so.
um, what was I gonna have here? Oh, that I have when like like the media made a big deal. They said, "Oh, Macchio slams the remake." When they did the 2010 thing, they took it like out of context, and it was kind of like creating
Yeah,
drama that was not necessary.
the
But
media sucks.
yep.
I mean, that kind of stuff, that's got to be rough. That's got to be rough. But he seemed
Yeah,
to
but
to rebound from, have a response to that was uh at least mediated a little bit. So
yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure like Will Smith gets it and everything too. Then they actually talk to each other.
yeah, Will Smith has had his problems with crisis
Yeah.
management. So, we won't go there.
Did I miss something? What happened with Will Smith? What?
Oh my.
Oh, yeah, that I remember now. Okay.
Well, you're the one that told me about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
about it. Oh my God.
That was a rough day for Will Smith.
uh, yeah, then he had mentioned how when he signed on for the Karate Kid, that it was already planned to be like he had to do a sign on for a 3 picture deal. So yeah, that would have made it difficult to get other work too, being tied up with
Hmm.
those. Yeah, he wasn't happy about part three. Yeah, I just watched three recently. Um, yeah, before I knew when I found out that Terry Silver was going to be on Cobra Kai, so then I ended up watching that because I don't even think I saw it when it came out at all. I think this was the first time I saw it, and yeah, I didn't like it at all. Well, I loved Terry Silver. I loved the villain in that. That's what made that stand out. But as far as the writing,
Hmm.
it's kind of like set his character, Daniel's character back. I don't know. It was just weird. It just didn't seem to fit. But yeah, so I could see why he wasn't that happy about that. Um,
Could be that these writers, they know they have a built-in audience, so maybe the craft of it doesn't have the same level of attention because
yeah.
they
Mhm.
kind of know they're going to crunch it out and people are going to go see it and cheer, and so that's why it kind of denigrates a little bit. But and he didn't have a choice, so it's not
Yeah.
like they
Mhm.
had anything to lose. They weren't going to lose the stars. They had them all tied up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's
I
probably
did
why
not
that probably
get
happens a
to
lot.
see it. Yeah, yeah, it's true, and it's kind of a shame because you should still, you should be in it for the art of it, not just to crank it out. So, But yeah, did not get to see it. Like I said, I tried I tried to rent it, and I don't rent a lot of movies. If I like something, I'll just, I'll buy it, or you just stream it wherever it's out there, if you have enough of
Hmm.
these subscriptions. But I did try to rent it. I rented the wrong one, rented three instead of two. Said, "Oh darn, I'll go back." And I rented two. And they tell you oh, you have 30 days to watch it. So I
Oh,
started watching it, watched 20 minutes, then, went on to something else. I don't know. Went back a couple of days later. Little did I know, once you start it, you only have 48 hours to watch
oh.
the film. So I put it back on, watched another 10 minutes, but it was gone. It
Oh.
wouldn't let me finish. And then I was like, all right, let me see if I can go watch the other one. No, because I rented them both at the same time, mistakenly. So now I couldn't watch it. I rented both of
Either
them.
of
I
them.
couldn't watch either of them to the end. So I was just like,
Yeah.
what's the matter with me? Rentals are not my thing. So,
You know,
so forgive me for not being able to watch those.
the old days of Blockbuster, you could have just kept the tape and just paid the late fine or whatever. So, but you
Right,
would have been
right.
able to watch the movie.
And I was like,
That's
no, I'm
funny.
not. And it gives you a little option, rent it. No, I'm not renting it again. No. I'm not going to pay twice for two movies that I was watching for research purposes anyway at this point. The Cobra Kai series, all right, that I'm doing because I like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, because right now I think it's only on Stars, and so then I thought it would be like a free week trial, but it wasn't. But it's only like $3 a month for 3 months, so it's like all right, I can swing that, see what else is on there. Like I have time to watch TV, but I just gonna remember to cancel it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's how they get you. You got to remember
Yeah,
to go in and cancel it. And then sometimes you try to cancel this stuff and you're going through screen and screen and screens. And they just
yeah,
want to make it as confusing as possible. So you're like, all right, I'll go another, 3 months. So it's an obnoxious process.
yeah. Oh, I just for the hell of it, I just went on to Facebook to check. Yeah, my buddy Dave is on. Hey, Dave, you still there? You could.
Which Dave?
Oh, oh, Dave Zachary.
Oh, no, I don't
Are
know
you
him.
able to see? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it's a friend of mine that we actually were in the Navy together. We were in the Gulf War
Oh,
together on the
cool.
ship. So yeah, yeah.
Well, hello to Dave.
All right, so
Yay.
oh, the Facebook Live is working. Woo!
Yay.
I should check it faster next time. But what else was going to say? Oh, no, I lost my. Say I got a little bitty ADHD there. I threw myself off there. Oh, one other thing. Well, not one. Well, maybe it'll be more than one other thing. But I loved how the inspiration that he has for people. Like, that's a book club. I'll read notes from the book. Uh, I can open up the right page. Oh boy, glasses. Um, but there was one when he saw the kids in the airport, and I don't know if you guys remember this, and
Yeah,
the mother with her son, and then they used to watch the Karate Kid together all the time. The father had just passed away, and um,
absolutely. That was really touching.
you know,
No kidding.
yeah, and then yeah, and then you see how much when you do work like this, and you see how much you touch their lives, and then there was the one the kid with Down syndrome that was with his sister. And like he calls him and he's or it was always in a mall. And then he's just walking the mall, he's used to people calling him, but then he heard somebody say Daniel LaRusso. And like well, one word. It was like something in the tone of his voice that like caught his attention. And then his sister said that people would be mean to him and tease him and everything. But he's strong. He said he's strong like Daniel Russo, his best friend, and then
Ah,
and then they
come
ended up
on,
doing
that gets you here.
it exactly. And then he did the picture with the fighting pose with him. So now he had like you know, photo proof that they're friends. So.
I know, just
And
like
then
he does in Cobra Kai, he has people into the dealership and he's doing like the crane pose and they're taking pictures. So,
yeah, yeah,
life imitating art there.
yeah. That's just amazing though, how what that, especially for him to see like, something that he did, how much it touches their lives and stuff. And I know a few people that started doing karate after seeing the Karate Kid. They took up karate after seeing that, so that was like a big influence. I wonder if there was like a huge uptick at the time of karate studios when the movie came out.
I think I heard somewhere that there was that it was a real big sport in the 80s for that reason. And I don't know, maybe I think has it waned or I mean my daughter took taekwondo for like 7 years. She really loved it. So, and in fact, it's been, once again with Cobra Kai, I just got through the end of season
Hmm.
4 where they had the big tournament. And I actually started to like understand some of the points and this kind of stuff. And remembering my daughter didn't go to a ton of tournaments, but she did go to a couple. And she did, I did take her, every week to these classes. So a lot of that started coming back. And at the time, I wasn't paying that much attention to what everything meant and what this stance was and why you did these different poses and how you get these points. But watching the series, like these things started to come together. And I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I do have a little bit of a knowledge, back knowledge of this after, 7 years of taking Veronica back and forth to Taekwondo.
Well, you remember when Back to the Future came out, everybody wanted to learn how to be on a skateboard. And I'm sure the same thing happened with Karate Kid, with like you said, with the taking classes. And I thought the same thing when
Mhm.
Cobra Kai came out and it started getting very popular. I wondered if this next generation was going to start taking karate lessons just based off of the TV series. Who
So,
knows?
Yeah,
Something to look into.
yeah, it's very
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
it's hard. You know what? One thing that was real hard for me, just as a mom, even having a daughter who studied this, it's really hard for me to watch these kids just beating the fridge out of each other with hour after hour. Just they're just merciless sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, that's kind of one of the themes of the whole series. But it's difficult to watch kids that young just be that brutal and aggressive to each other, and so many of them all the time.
And
It's like the Hunger Games, they're
yeah.
just killing
The-
each other.
and these fight scenes aren't small in the series either. They're
No,
tearing up
they're huge
houses and
brawls
destroying furniture and whatever else. So yeah.
going through windows and
Yeah.
it happens constantly. And that's, I guess part of the draw of the show. It's very exciting. But as a mother, I don't know, you just get protective and you're like, stop hurting each other. Just
Oh,
go to the
oh.
prom and have a good time.
Well, at
Jeez.
least it's like in a controlled environment anyway, instead of like on the schoolyard or
I
whatever,
know.
so to
You
speak.
can't
So
though, and the series keeps going, so they're just gonna keep doing it. So there's no end in sight.
yeah, stakes will keep going up. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I love a lot of the characters, and especially like Johnny. I like how he has like no filter. I love those are like my favorite characters. Um,
And he's so unapologetically old school.
mm,
He can't work his phone. He doesn't know what Facebook is. He's so politically incorrect. But
yeah,
like you kind of feel like he's got a good heart when he's doing this stuff. And I think like the kids kind of shrug their shoulders and let him get away with it for that reason. Like, maybe he doesn't know any better as far as how to plug in the laptop or the simplest things. He doesn't get it, but they let it go. They let it go, and you kind of buy it. But it is very funny.
yeah.
Just like you said, no filter, no apologies, nothing. Just
I love those. Yeah, and I don't remember when Chosen came in. Is he on? Have you seen Chosen yet?
yeah,
And
just in a couple of chosen episodes.
oh, okay, yeah, turns out to be like one of my favorite characters in that. He's funny, yeah. Another like big turnaround from the movies. So yeah, from his movie
Hmm.
character. So yeah,
So I only got to see the beginning of that. But you kind of know where it goes because there's so many
mm,
flashbacks that
yeah.
you get to see the big triumph, the triumphant moments anyway, just through watching the series.
Yeah, yeah. Probably to fill in the kids that are watching it for the kids.
It's true. We got to keep the continuity, to make it make sense. So
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think that's about all I have. I don't know if you guys like have any final thoughts. Like, yeah, I love this book and yeah, just like fell in love with the movies all over again. Um, yeah, yeah, I was I was I was like getting emotional with like the but he was teaching him the wax on, wax off move in the movie because I don't know, that's just like so iconic. It's like one of the most like iconic 80s scenes, it's like kind of defines the 80s, you know. And yeah, that looks like probably my favorite scene of the movie was when he was getting aggravated that he was doing all this work around the house and everything, and then he didn't understand why, and then he showed him the moves, said wax on, and then he Mr. Miyagi does the punch and he blocks it with the wax on, wax off. And like you could see like
it's a
the purpose
cool
how
moment,
everything got put. Yeah, yeah, that was like my favorite scene in the
right? When
movie.
the light bulb goes off,
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
happens for everybody in the audience too. And even in
exactly.
that,
Yeah.
right, and in the beginning of the film, he said it was really interesting for him to watch everybody absorb it, at the same time. Just like, they all jumped up and were cheering for him at the end. It's really cool to watch everybody have that epiphany moment where you're like, oh, yeah, it's really smart.
Yeah.
That is
It
such
is,
a
it's a
cool.
great moment.
It's such a cool friendship that the two of them develop in that movie. And at the very end, that when he wins and the camera goes over to Mr. Miyagi, he just has this proud look on his face. If you remember that, I mean, I just have that
Yeah.
ingrained in my brain that the picture of him and he's letting Daniel just enjoy that moment. And he's not taking any credit for what happened. He's just letting he knows it's just how proud he is of Daniel. And that's, that I guess that's sort of the friendship that we all want, where, we've got the support, we know that we're loved, and, Mr. Miyagi's there to just cheer for us at the very end. So it's a great scene. So many great scenes in that movie. There really are. And so many emotional scenes in the movie too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I didn't appreciate it at the time as a young as a girl watching, as a young person. Uh, but see, it's just like hitting me in the face all day long now, how much of the focus is on having that surrogate father, like having this young
Yeah.
man who needs somebody, and his mother was great. And he talked a lot about how
Mm.
strong a presence the mother was in the film also. But um, now there's so many father-son relationships and surrogate father-son relationships that are going on in the series. You can tell just how that is really a strength of the whole universe that they're calling it. And I can see it now more as a parent than I did as a young person, only because I didn't have that, I wasn't looking for a father figure. So, but it really resonated with a lot of people though, I think.
Agreed. Yep. Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was vice versa too, because Mr. Miyagi lost his wife and baby, so he didn't
Yeah,
have a child either. So Daniel was like the son he never had, and Mr. Miyagi was like the father that he lost. So yeah, yeah.
Well, and they were going to cut
exactly.
cut that scene where Mr. Miyagi gets drunk and he
Mm.
starts talking about everything that has happened in his life. And can you imagine like not knowing all of that? I thought that scene was excellent, and I'm glad they
Mhm.
kept it in the movie. But yeah, I think that was in one? Was that in
Yes.
one?
Mhm.
Okay, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
Yep.
thought it was in one. So yeah, it's a very powerful scene.
absolutely. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same movie without that. I
Yeah.
think that
Mhm.
was kind of pivotal. So what a mistake that would have been to edit that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hey, I looked up the this new movie that's supposed to come out, and it says it's December 13th, 2024. So
Oh,
they better get moving and give us some details here. That's coming up soon.
yeah. Start promoting
So
that, man.
yeah, but it does say Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio are going to be on screen together. So it says it's going to
Cool.
combine the franchise's multiple storylines, including the Cobra Kai series. So who knows? Yeah,
Yeah. Because that was my biggest problem with that 2010 movie. Like it was good and everything. It was okay, but it didn't have the heart and it just felt unnecessary. It's like, why? I mean, the other one was perfect. Why are you gonna do that? But but if they had like led into it, like if Mr. Miyagi, well, he was gone by then, right? What year did Pat Morita die? 2005 maybe. But if like Ralph
Yeah,
Macchio was up, if they did like a passing of
something
the
like that.
torch or something and made it in the same universe, that would have been one thing. Yeah.
well, didn't Ralph Macchio say that he was asked to consult on this movie and he turned it down?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he had talked about that in the book, that he just didn't feel that that was his place and wanted to let Will Smith do his thing with that movie.
Yeah. So that'll be like they helped out Karate Kid 3 with the Cobra Kai. Maybe they'll do the same thing with this then.
Yeah, who knows? But we'll
Yeah.
find out in about 10 months.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I still haven't
Yeah.
seen
And
the next.
season 6 is coming.
yes,
Yeah. Is it September?
I don't know.
Well, I'll mark my calendar.
Is that is that is that the release date? September of this year?
That I don't know, but I'll take
I
your word
don't
for
know.
it.
Okay. Yeah. And then who
But
knows? Maybe spin-off series or prequels or I don't know. He said that he would Ralph said that he would be really interested in a Mr. Miyagi prequel. So I would too.
That'd be
Maybe,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, but then you have to find somebody who's worthy of kind of recreating
right.
that
right.
role. And that was, like we're saying, sometimes you get something on screen and it's kind of magic and it's hard
Yep.
to recreate that.
And
And
other
maybe it was almost easier for them to do it where he's in the background in a picture in a frame and you could bow to
yep,
him as opposed to having to actually recreate that character.
right. And
Good luck.
ideas that sound good aren't don't necessarily translate to a good series or movie. So there's that.
Yeah.
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 Like
So
I
we'll
said,
see.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry,
Yeah,
Ralph
like
couldn't join us today, but
Yeah, that's
but thanks for letting me come on with you guys.
we got somebody representing Italian representing Long Island.
Yeah, yeah, Long Island Italian.
yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of
We
cannoli too.
we we've had two of these now, and we've referenced New York in both, and Back to the Future, or Michael J. Fox in both. So
That's true. Yeah,
so
that's
we'll
true.
have to maybe that's a tie-in we'll have to do with every one of these in some way. So
Wouldn't be that hard. Michael
yeah,
J.
probably
Fox is in
not.
everything.
Yes, yes.
All right,
Okay.
I didn't pick a book for next month yet. I
What?
don't
I thought you were
know.
going to surprise us. I
No,
almost sent you I almost sent you a text today and said, can I find out before? But I didn't. I wanted to be surprised, and I guess that's not going to happen.
like I was thinking less than zero. I don't know. I'm open for input from anybody.
Well, February is a
I'm
short
open to
month.
less than zero.
February is a short
Maybe
month, so you got to
this
decide
is
soon.
February.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have no. You're
Yeah, in
gonna
other
have
words,
to.
and it's
You got
ticking
a
down.
few days till the beginning of March.
Yeah.
I'll go with I read less than zero. I think I have a bookshelf here and I have still have all my 80s books in there. So I think I have less than zero still on the shelf. Once again, the
Yeah.
original like Jay McInerney,
Yeah, I
but
think
a reread.
I had read the original when I was in the library. I remember sitting in the library and reading it. Yeah. Um,
Is that the
yes.
decision, or are you still thinking about it?
Yeah, I say let's go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could try this
Okay.
alternating between fiction and nonfiction, I think. Yeah. And
or books about drug addicts and then memoirs. So
well, I would like to start like maybe pick something from the 70s or 90s sometime too. So we'll make it like really like Gen X too.
Okay. Yeah,
But
we could do that.
yeah, but
But can we find a memoir that is as clean cut as the one that we just read?
oh,
That might be a challenge.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if that's a criteria, but it might be a challenge.
Yeah, as I was considering doing like Matthew Perry, so then I listened to that and I don't know. It was mostly about like his drug use and stuff. It wasn't really like
Hmm.
it didn't really cover like that much of like pop culture. It didn't really get too much into Friends that much. So
Hmm.
it didn't feel like a good
Not
like Gen X.
not Gen X enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's interesting if to get into like the mind like of a drug addict and it's really tragic because you know what happened to him. So and you
Mm,
can as you're reading it now, you can see how it happened. So yeah, so I mean it was good, but not yeah, I'd like to get more of the tea, as my friend Lucy says, about different, pop culture celebrities and stuff like that on here.
okay.
So
Well, yeah, if you do change your mind or anything, let us know, and I'll go with whatever your decision is.
okay. Yeah. And then if anybody's watching or listening, yeah, I'm definitely open for suggestions for any time. So yeah, I'd love that. All right, I think that's gonna wrap up our second edition of the Gen X Book Club. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you everybody that was listening and watching, even on the replay. Yeah, and definitely leave some comments. You can leave. I'll be posting this. Well, it's live on Facebook, but yeah, I'll repost it on Facebook as well again. And then if you watch it, yeah, leave some comments. Tell us your thoughts. So we love that. And oh, it gives you guys the opportunity to promote yourselves. So, Adele, you want to talk about your radio show
sure.
still going on?
Yep, it's the 80s at 8 on WEDM, which you can download the WEDM app for free. 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Nothing but the 80s. I am 9 minutes late for my shift right now, so
That's right too.
I need to get on the air.
No.
Oh, wait a minute, I am on the air right now. Wow. So anyway, but yeah, tune in for that. And we've got I have to look, but the upcoming I think I can plug it before for during the March Facebook Live, but the Academy Awards show that we do, where it's nothing but movie soundtracks from the 80s, I love. It's my favorite weekend to broadcast. So that'll be coming up. I think the Academy Awards, I want to say, are the beginning of April is when they're going to be airing. So I'll put another plug in for that. But just a little preview of what's coming up.
I love your show because it's like more than even the music you play is not everything that you hear on the other 80 stations, and then you add a lot more fun stuff in there as well. So yeah,
Yep.
I love it.
Stuff you haven't heard in a long time or you forgot was even a hit. We play a lot of that stuff. So, yep.
Now that sounds great. The movie soundtracks sound great.
Yep. It's a lot of fun.
All right, Suzanne.
Okay, yeah, well, for me, I'm the author of Once in a Lifetime, which is a kind of cool 80s coming of age new wave novel, which you can get on Amazon. And we've got a second edition launching soon, and working on a collection of short stories. So you can take a look at SuzanneMattaboni.com, and just love all this 80s stuff. It's just my thing.
But
So
yeah,
thanks for letting
thank
me,
you guys so much.
come on with you guys.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah. Yeah, and it forces us to read and everything too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. Well, you got
Yeah.
to do something
Which I think
fun once in
everybody
a
should
while
do.
for
So
ourselves. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
I feel less stressed about reading after April 15th with tax day than I do right now. So,
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Yeah.
But I got it
Well,
done.
Yeah, well, you can read some Less Than Zero to cheer you up if
Oh
you're
yeah.
scared. So.
Yeah, that sounds like it's really gonna bring a lot of happiness to my life. Thanks.
And
Oh my.
people don't want to hear back about that they're going to get Less Than Zero on their returns
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll
Oh
tie that. I'll, I'll I'll tie that in on my Facebook business
no.
Facebook page somehow. Your return is
Perfect.
your refund is
Perfect.
less than
Less than
zero.
zero.
Speaking of Less Than Zero, come check out our book club podcast.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, yeah. Play the soundtrack, you know.
Uh,
Those old Bangle songs.
Jeez. Uh,
All right, thank you guys so much, and thanks everybody for listening
Okay.
and watching. We'll see you next time.